King's Dominion is often overlooked as a middle-tier Cedar Fair park that is being screwed over by the chain. But I'm here to say that could not be further from the truth. King's Dominion is an elite park with one of the best 1-2 punches in the world, and is easily one of the greatest amusement parks in the country and a must-visit for any enthusiast. In today's video, I'll give a full breakdown of my experience at King's Dominion and why I think this park doesn't deserve the reputation it has. If you like this kind of content, please consider subscribing. I would really appreciate it. Let's dive in. Ever since the 8-year coaster gap between Intimidator 305 and Twisted Timbers, as well as the removal of Volcano the Blast coaster, enthusiasts seem to think that this park has had some sort of fall from grace, and Cedar Fair doesn't really care about it anymore. And while I think this park should get more attention coaster-wise, especially for the Volcano replacement, this park is anything but neglected. First, I want to talk about park appearance, because King's Dominion is just a beautiful park. Tall trees shade paths, the park is surrounded by woods, and there's even a little creek running underneath the path. As a whole, the park is very clean, and all of the buildings look great and are well maintained. This is clearly a very well-run park, and that extends to the employees here, who are just fantastic. Whether they are pumping out trains or messing around on the mic, the employees genuinely seem like they are enjoying being there, and I definitely cannot say the same about other parks, especially my home park, Six Flags Magic Mountain. All of the coasters here were operating with a maximum number of trains. One of Twisted Timbers' trains was removed later in my visit, but the line wasn't long, and I'm pretty sure it's having technical problems, and they had to remove it if they wanted to keep the ride open. The gate is very close to the parking lot, which I really appreciate. The entry process was smooth and efficient. My first ride was the B&M floorless coaster, Dominator. I heard this is one of the best floorless coasters, and while I agree, it is a floorless coaster, I'm just not a big fan of this model. I got a back row ride, and I really appreciate the long and unique layout, but these rides just don't do anything, and the corkscrews at the end do cause some headbanging. Overall, not a bad coaster, but falls way short of reaching my top 25. Next was the S&S 40 Free Spin Tumbili, the new for 2022 coaster in the rethemed Jungle Expedition area. And first of all, this area looks great. All of the buildings are so well done, and the area has some great food options, and overall I was really impressed. Tumbili gave me a wild ride, 3 flips, which I know is super rare. It was crazy, but it wasn't the most pleasant experience ever. Reptilian was also rethemed in 2022, and this is a great family coaster. I had the front row, and I really enjoyed it. Not too intense, but the final helix does get pretty fast, and the whole bobsled aspect does make this coaster very unique. Intimidator 305 was actually closed at this point, so I went to Twisted Timbers, the RMC hybrid. This ride blew me out of the water. These new generation trains are fantastic, and don't come down so hard during the ride like those found on Twisted Colossus. The barrel roll drop is crazy, and the triple camelback is one of the most genius elements ever put on a coaster. These are incredible. After this, there are a few wild airtime moments, and the 0G roll is pretty fun before the ride hits the brakes. Overall, this ride is a powerhouse and absolutely underrated. As of right now, this is my favorite RMC, beating out Steel Vengeance and my number 6 overall coaster. At this point, I was getting worried because Intimidator 305 still wasn't open. I hit the 2 wooden coasters, Racer and Grizzly, and I didn't enjoy either. Both were rough and provided no forces, and I think the Racer broke something in my spine. I didn't find Grizzly that horrible, but Racer is just a hot piece of garbage. At this point, I-305 did open, and I rushed straight to my number 1 bucket list coaster in the world. I really appreciate the soft strap trains, and this thing rockets up the lift. I'll start with my complaints. The first drop feels really short for some reason, even though it's one of the tallest in the world. The turn after is very intense, and I regain my vision at the top of the Airtime hill. After this comes the best part of the ride, the section of crazy transitions and speed that I-305 is known for, and this is fantastic. However, everything is killed on the trims of one of the final Airtime hills, and the ride feels like it crawls to the finish. Between the slow ending and the incredibly intense beginning, the good part of I-305 is remarkably short. My biggest gripe was getting only 1 ride on this. It was in the front row, but the ride closed for weather when I was about to get another one. Overall, this is definitely a unique coaster, but it fell short of my expectations just because of how short the good part is. I'm pretty sure it made my top 10, I'm just not exactly sure where it lands yet. After this ride, I did get a marathon on Twisted Timbers, and it solidified its spot as an elite coaster. Every time it was great, in every row. Most RMCs you have to be in the back, but not on this one. I hit Flight of Fear, which is much rougher than the one at Kings Island, but nonetheless an intense launch coaster. And the last new coaster was Backlot Stunt Coaster, which I purely enjoyed for the LA theming. Unfortunately, during that time, a severe weather warning hit the area, and all of the rides shut down. I ate at Grain & Grill on International Street, and this is definitely some of the better theme park food I've had. And that was that. Overall, I was extremely impressed by this park, and hopefully Cedar Fair adds something big here soon, because they definitely deserve it. The coaster lineup is strong, but I think a B&M Hyper or Mach Multi-Launch would be a great fit here. That's all for this video, and as always, thank you for watching, and please consider subscribing. I'll see you all in the next video.